Hello and welcome to Modern Odyssey on Bronx, Net and beyond. I'm Dr. Despina Afentouli. Today we're going to talk about investing in Greece. Our special guest is the president of Capital Link, Nicholas Bornozis, who recently hosted the 24th annual Capital Link Forum in Manhattan, New York. Nicholas, great to have you with us on our Modern Odyssey program.
Despina, thank you for the great pleasure and honor to be with you today and to be able to address your audience. Thank you.
So, Nicholas, please tell us more about Capital Link.
I have been living and working in the United States since 1980, so 42 years already. After having worked for a number of organizations, banks and Wall Street organizations, I founded Capital Link in 1995. Capital Link has two activities, investor relations and conferences. On the investor relations side, we work with publicly listed companies or capital markets oriented organizations, and we help their contact and communication with their shareholders, prospective investors, analysts, the financial media. We specialize essentially in three main areas, in Greece, in the maritime sector, and in US closed-end funds and ETFs. We have been working with Greece and Greek companies for a number of years, actually since the founding of Capital Link in 1995, and then since 2005, when shipping became a bigger part of Wall Street, we started working with the listed shipping firms, and today we have the great privilege to work with the majority of the US listed shipping firms, and most of them, or a lot of them, being Greek. In parallel, we organize a number of conferences around the world. And our conferences, again, tend to be in the three main areas of our concentration: about Greece, about shipping, and about US closed funds and ETFs. We organize conferences, I would say, on a global basis. We have two or three in New York, two or three in Athens every year. And then we organize them in London, in Limassol, in Hamburg, Oslo, Singapore, Shanghai, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. So this is a fairly global operation. I think we organize about 16 or 17 conferences every year. So this is what we do. And of course, the Capital Link Invest in Greece Forum is one of the oldest and most successful conference we organize. And it's a lifelong passion and commitment of Olga, my sister, and myself in the service of Greece.
So, Invest in Greece, that was the title, as you said, of the annual Capital Link Forum that you hosted on December 9th, 2022 in Manhattan, New York, in cooperation with the New York Stock Exchange, the Athens Stock Exchange, and global investment banks and organizations, with the support of the General Secretariat for Greeks Abroad and Public Diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Greece and under the auspices of the Consulate General of Greece in New York. Please tell us more about the speakers who participated in the forum and the feedback you received from the attendants. Why should people invest in Greece?
I will start talking a little bit about the forum itself. When we started the forum back in the late 90s, at the time, we had come up with the realization that there were a lot of events talking about investing in Greece, but they were taking place in Greece. There was no event taking place outside of Greece. And we felt that it was more proper and effective to have a conference in New York if you're looking to attract US investors. So that's how we started this conference. And the idea of this conference has been to do it every year, regardless of the political and economic situation in Greece, and therefore come up with a platform that raises awareness about Greece as an investment and business destination year after year. This is not a political event, and it is not actually a Greek event. It's an international summit about Greece taking place in New York, because if you look at the speakers, they always include the US government, the Greek government, representatives of the corporate sector, and of course, banks and investors. And the fact that we have been able to host this event in cooperation with the New York Stock Exchange and this year the Athens Stock Exchange gives it an additional level of prestige and effectiveness. Now let's talk about this year. Greece has gone, as we all know, through tough times. But I think the last few years, despite the challenges that have come up because of COVID and because of the Ukraine, Greece has managed to really turn the page. As the speakers outlined in detail during the forum, Greece has the highest rate of economic growth in the Eurozone. And the government has implemented a series of extensive and significant reforms. And the result is that 2022 is a record year of foreign investments in Greece. In the past, most investors were really looking to invest in Greek government bonds. When you invest in bonds, it means that it's a liquid investment and it's a short-term investment. What the country has been after and needs is investment in fixed assets to buy companies, long-term capital coming into Greece. And that is what has been happening in the last few years. We have seen investments across pretty much every sector, and we will continue to see that accelerating. I'd like to mention the notable speakers at the event, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Staikouras, who exactly discussed about how the Greek economy has performed and the very positive outlook looking ahead. We have the alternate Minister of Finance, Mr. Skylakakis, who has been discussing about the European funds that can be used as debt and equity financing for infrastructure projects. We had with us the Minister of Investments and Development, Mr. Georgiadis, who was also the luncheon keynote speaker, who discussed how we have seen the significant inflow of investments into Greece over the last few years. He said, by the way, that, said Nicholas, the investment that has come into Greece in the last 3 years of the Capital Link Forum is more than what has come into the first 21 years. And by the way, we have Mr. Tsakiris as well, who is the Deputy Minister of Investments. The Minister of Energy, Mr. Skrekas, outlined exactly the inflow of investments into the energy sector and the opportunities in that area. We also had with us the Secretary General of the National Tourist Organization, Ms. Olivia Anastasopoulou, who talked about the opportunities in the sector. Tourism is a huge component of the Greek economy. And we had Mr. Exos Pitsilis, who is the governor of the Independent Authority for Public Revenue, who updated the Greek diaspora on tax reforms, on custom reforms regarding Greece.
And there were also some speakers from the US government as well, right?
Exactly. And we had with us 2 major speakers from the US government, Jeffrey Pyatt, who used to be the US ambassador in Greece, the longest serving and one of the most respected ambassadors in Greece and most effective, who now is Deputy Secretary of Energy. And he outlined the critical role of Greece as a gateway into the area for energy matters. And also we had Erika Olson, who is the Deputy Assistant Secretary for European and Eurasian Affairs and responsible for Greece, Cyprus, and other areas. And she outlined the excellent status of the relationship between US and Greece. And of course, we had major investors like Mr. Stathopoulos, who was of BC Partners, who outlined how his firm has been one of the first and biggest and consistent investors in Greece. And of course, many other names that I don't want to go through. I'll forget somebody. We had more than 70 speakers, I think, in 20 sessions. It has been an amazing conference in terms of content and, of course, in terms of networking opportunities. Now, what are the opportunities? The opportunities are that, first of all, you have a country that, as I mentioned, has turned the page in terms of the economy. There has been very prudent management of the public finances. Greece has a higher rate of growth compared to the European average, and we expect that Greece next year will attain investment grade status, which means that the rating that we get from international organizations will put Greece into the investment grade category, and that will allow a lot more investments to come into the country. Number two, we have opportunities that are specific to Greece. The war in the Ukraine has created turmoil all over the place. And we have seen major challenges across the board in the European and global economy. Now, in this new landscape, Greece can really capitalize on its strategic location as a gateway for energy and other business opportunities. That is critical. So we have been talking about the strategic location in Greece for years, but now in a way, it's the first time that this strategic location becomes very tangible in terms of investment inflow. So the challenges are global and regional, but the opportunities are specific to Greece. If you look, across the board, tourism, energy, infrastructure, real estate, the stock market, you name it. It's really no area left behind.
All these areas are very important, of course, all the sectors. So, Nicholas, what is your message to the international audience of Modern Odyssey on BronxNet?
Well, the message is for those who are interested in Greece, now is the time to invest. I think the Prime Minister who opened the conference with a televised message, that's exactly what he said. Now is the time to invest in Greece. Greece have been, and the US have a very close relationship. We have seen a number of major US firms establishing presence in Greece. Pfizer, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, you name it, and a lot more. So we can have the Americans and Greek Americans open their wallet and invest more in Greece, and with the conviction that they are coming into a business-friendly country with stability and great outlook.
So, Nicholas, thank you so much for your time, for this great discussion.
Thank you for having me with you today.
Thank you so much.
We commend Greece on the serious progress it has made, not only in promoting regional energy integration, but in helping to break Gazprom's malicious monopoly on Europe. The completion and operationalization of the interconnector Greece-Bulgaria in October was a significant success, and that pipeline has the potential to transport 5 billion cubic meters of Azeri gas to Bulgaria and potentially other countries in the region, including Serbia, North Macedonia, and Romania, who find themselves largely dependent on Russia. We welcomed the launch of the floating storage regasification unit in Alexandroupoli earlier this year and look forward to it becoming fully operational by the end of 2023. It will further strengthen regional energy security and expand market access, including for US LNG exports to Greece and beyond. The FSRU is testament to translating diplomatic and political vision into practical investment, and we're proud that the US government was able to play a role in making this progress.
Some months ago, we had in Zapion Megaron one big fest with our Greek competition committee, and we had invited Mrs. Vestager, the Vice President of Commission and the Commissioner of Digicom, maybe the most important member of the Cabinet of Commission. Ms. Vestager said exactly that Greece now is the good example of European Union, and I am very proud that our government managed to do that.
Mr. Minister, welcome on our show.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Please tell us more about the developments and the investment opportunities in Greece. You mentioned before in your speech that Greece has become an example, a role model for other countries within the European Union.
Greece this year has a triple record, a record all-time high in FDIs, a record in exports, and a record in tourism revenues. And we have an all-time high in FDI's record for a second year in a row. So in order so many people to decide to come and trust Greece and put their money in our economy, that means that they find opportunities. And yes, Greece now offers a lot of business opportunities.
In what sectors can people invest?
Renewable energy, logistics, digital, agriculture, tourism, real estate.
And how easier have become the processes in investing
I
in
will just
Greece?
tell you a true story. We are now one of the most digitalized countries in the European Union. Through your phone, you can practically do whatever you want with our public sector.
What is the website?
Gov.gr. Gov.gr. You enter gov.gr and you can issue any kind of permit, any kind of license, any kind of paper.
And what is your message to our international audience on BronxNet?
Come fast, because others will be faster.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At the 24th Annual Capital Link Invest in Greece Forum, a press conference with the Governor of Independent Authority for Public Revenue of the Hellenic Republic, George Pitsilis, was held by the Greek Trade Office in New York.
Real estate transfer tax, donation tax, inheritance tax now are filed digitally. We are also the first public sector body that has developed a digital onboarding. We call it Maya the Live. So you can get tax identification number and you can get your digital credentials for entering the public services websites.
Mr. Pitsilis, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Please tell us more about tax and customs in Greece and about the investments.
We have the opportunity in a few minutes to discuss with the Greek diaspora on the tax and customs updates. So what is new in tax and customs that is important for them. And I'm very happy because I've been here in every Capital Link forum for the past 6 years, and I've had the opportunity to update investors, but also our fellow Greeks here on what has been changing in the tax administration. We have been digitalizing our tax administration a lot in the past 2 years, and during the pandemic, we managed to offer them a completely new digital environment of services that can facilitate them in fulfilling their obligations. And we are also strengthening our efficiency in the country. We have a very modern system of digital bookkeeping and digital invoicing for businesses now, which is among the most, let's just say, innovative in Europe. Our new plans for how to make easier for Greeks here in the United States to have access to our digital services and pay their taxes easier and fulfill their obligations easier, and knowing what they need to do with their property in Greece. We saw that we have more than 100,000 taxpayers in Greece that are residents in the United States, and they have a property that exceeds 7 billion euros already. So there is a volume of people there that we need to further facilitate with their taxes in Greece.
What were the biggest challenges that you feel that you faced in dealing with tax and customs?
In a nutshell, increasing fairness, increasing efficiency. And I think we have achieved a lot in both sectors. During the years, we've managed to change the perspective of how people see the tax administration. We have strengthened the mechanism for dispute resolution within the tax administration. 95% of the cases that come to us are being examined, and this has led in a significant reduction of disputes going to the court, so saving money for taxpayers, but also helping taxpayers to fulfill their obligations digitally, not having to go to the tax office, not having to do written procedures, but digital procedures. So again, saving money from taxpayers, saving money from companies. We want companies to spend their time in the business, not with us.
In more effective way.
Exactly.
And what is your message to our audience on Modern Odyssey on BronxNet?
That it's worth trusting us, that we believe in this relationship of trust and confidence with taxpayers, with investors, and we are here to help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have never seen inflation like this. But the good news is that it looks like this inflation is looking to be moderating. 2023 is going to be a difficult year. The universe, globally, our country, Greece, is going to be entering into a period of very choppy waters because 23 globally is not going to be great. We have to deploy this capital. The banks have to earn revenues. We all need to be. So life will go on, and therefore I am optimistic that this bear market that we're all experiencing is not driven by a financial bubble like it was in 2008. It's not driven by a one-off crisis or a shock. It is a function of what seems to be a demand-based inflation, rising interest rates, falling profits, and therefore it's more of an economic cycle. And this economic cycle hopefully will pass. Why? Because a lot of the key indicators that we as investors are looking at are pretty healthy. You know, the balance sheets of private companies are strong, the labor market is strong, the capital markets are orderly, and there's a lot of liquidity in the system. So this should hopefully be a short-term slowdown. Now, in that global context, and despite its troubled past, Greece has significant structural competitive advantages. First of all Greece is a European country, and I hope it remains forever a European country, with stable currency, stable government, and as Minister Georgiou says, a unique geopolitical location. Secondly, has very high quality human capital, which despite the wounds that were opened through the brain drain that happened during the last decade, it makes our country rich in people, with much needed ideas, knowledge, skills, and above all, passion and ambition, as I was mentioning earlier on. Thirdly, and I've experienced this as an investor, it has a strong and a very strong wealth of small and medium-sized enterprises. And it has a growing community, as it was mentioned earlier, of startups that are led by exceptional founders and management teams. And I think this growing community has the potential to elevate the Greek private sector's productivity and innovation to international standards. It can fuel the growth of our economy in the years to come. And I also think, and we have good examples of this, it can create regional or even global champions in what they do. And fourth, I think it has a great growth potential that is higher than the other countries because it's coming from more than a decade of effectively recession. So Greece is catching up on growth. And timing is very important. And I think the timing for Greece and for investing in Greece is now.
Dr. Despina Afentouli for Modern Odyssey now on BronxNet.